Hello, Your Majesties. Happy Saturday. I am giving you guys a scary story today. This one is called Halloween Props. Okay, Halloween Props is a spooky story about a young man who crashes their car in a deserted area on Hallows Eve and goes looking for help at an old, dilapidated house. Okay. It was Halloween, and a young man named Robert was driving home from work. Every house he passed was decorated with Halloween props like carved pumpkins, plastic skeletons, black paper bats, and witches on broomsticks. It reminded him of all the fun he had as a child, going from house to house trick or treating. Distracted by all of the Halloween decorations, he missed his turn off and had to take the long way back to his house. The light was beginning to grow dim, and the road was filled with twists and turns. As he came around the sharp corner, his car skidded on some loose gravel. He lost control and his car slid off the road and plunged into a ditch. Oh. For a few moments, Robert was dazed and just sat in his car, trying to regain his senses. After making sure he wasn't hurt, he got out and survived the damage. Apart from a few scratches, the car looked fine. The problem was that the car was stuck in the ditch, and the rear wheels were raised a few inches from the ground. He would have to call a tow truck. Robert checked his pockets and discovered to his dismay that he had left his mobile phone at work. He was in the middle of nowhere and he had to find the phone. He waited for a few minutes, but when no cars passed by, he decided to start walking. About a mile down the road, he finally spotted a house in the distance. When he came to the gates, there was an old, rusted truck sitting in the driveway. The door of the truck was wide open, swinging in the breeze. There was nobody inside, so he continued on up to the house. It was a dilapidated old building, and some of the shutters were hanging off the windows. There was an eerie silence about the house. The only thing he could hear was the beating of his own heart and the low whistle of the cold October wind. Every now and then, a weather vane on the roof cracked as it swung around. Robert knocked on the front door a few times, but there was no answer. He was about to give up and try to find another house when he noticed something unusual on the other side of the house. There were some Halloween props and decorations. One of them was a rocking chair with the raged scarecrow sitting on it. Hold on, pause for a second. I've had nightmares of Michael Myers rocking in the rocking chair and like watching me sleep, and every time he rock, he get closer and closer. So yeah. Okay, back to the story. The scarecrow was wearing a skeleton mask, and as he got closer, he noticed a putrid smell. Stopping in his tracks, he stared at the scarecrow. Something didn't look right between the clumps of straw. He thought he could see something that looked like human skin, filled with a strange mixture of fear and curiosity. He slowly reached out and pulled at the straw. As it fell apart, he was horrified to discover that beneath the straw there was a dead body. The skin was purple and it was decomposing. Robert was trying to recover from the shock when he heard footsteps coming from the back of the house. "Who's there?" said a voice. An old man emerged from behind the house, and as soon as he spotted Robert, he started in surprise. Oh, he started or stared? He started in surprise. Whatever. Who are you? What are you doing here? He cried. Robert was trembling. There's a dead body, he croaked. The old man rushed over and examined the scarecrow. Pulling out the straw, he revealed the disgusting face of an old woman. Millie, shouted the old man, his voice shaking. Millie, what happened? He turned to Robert, his eyes filling with tears. Help me carry her into the house, he cried. Robert didn't know what to do. The man lifted her by the shoulders, and Robert picked up her feet. Together they carried her up the front steps and into the house. They brought her into an empty room and laid her body down on the cold wooden floor. Stay here while I go call the police, the man shouted. Before Robert had a chance to reply, the old man was hurrying down the corridor. Robert stood there, still shaking, staring down at the dead woman lying at his feet. After a while, he looked around and realized that there was no furniture. The house seemed to be completely bare, and it was covered with cobwebs. There wasn't even any light bulbs in the fixtures. Oh my gosh. Okay. He waited and waited, but the old man never returned. After 20 minutes had passed, he decided to try and find the old man. As soon as he walked out into the corridor, he saw the phone. It was lying on the floor at the end of the corridor, and the line had been ripped out of the wall. With a growing sense of unease, he cautiously explored the rest of the house. There was no sign of the old man. Robert began to panic and ran out the back door. He didn't know where he was going. He just kept running. After about half an hour, he came to a small general store that lay at the side of the road. Bursting into the shop, sweat pouring down his brow, he begged the shocked young woman behind the counter. He begged the shocked young woman behind the counter to call the police. She asked him what was wrong, but he was so out of breath that he couldn't answer. Exhausted from all the running, he sat down on the floor and tried to calm himself down. When the police arrived, Robert told them what had happened. He got into the back of the patrol car and directed them back to the old, dilapidated house. The police officers went into the house and spent 20 minutes searching it from top to bottom. They didn't find anything. There was no dead body and no old man. The house had been vacant for years. The truck in the driveway had been abandoned almost a decade ago. Robert kept insisting that he had seen the dead body with his own eyes. He gave a description of the old man to the police, but it was clear they didn't believe him. A few days later, Robert went to the police station and asked if they had come up with any information about the old man. The police officer gave him a strange look and said, "Actually, we did. We checked the property records to see who owned the house. Then we did a little asking around." "That's great," Robert said. "And what did you find?" "Well, there was an old man who used to live in that house. Seemed like he fit your description. He had a wife too. She disappeared and nobody heard from her again." Oh, some people suspected he murdered her and buried her in the yard, but there was never any real evidence, just a lot of loose talk and rumors spread by the locals. Nothing concrete until now. Have you arrested him? Asked Robert. Well, I like to, said the policeman, but there's just one problem. What's that? Robert asked. The policeman gave a weary smile and said he died in 1963 on Halloween night. Oh my gosh. Wow. So yeah, this is like another ghost story. I didn't know this. Oh my gosh. I wasn't expecting, I didn't know it was a ghost story thing. Were you guys expecting it? Anywho, yeah, I'd be tripping out. What would you guys do in this situation? Let me know down in the comments. I would be shocked. I couldn't have an answer after the last thing the police said. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. So if you're new here, hi, I'm Princess Peyton. Hit the red button to become your majesty and hit the bell notification so you're notified every time I upload a video. And I love you guys so much. You guys are the best human beings ever made. And you're the king of my heart, and the song lyrics of Taylor Swift. And I will see you guys in tomorrow's video. I love you. Bye. Mwah.